Welcome, Southeast Michigan Podcast. We are here. We are on the road to Michigan football kickoff or Big Ten football kickoff, college football in general. We're about 10 weeks out, and this is the beginning of that journey. Each episode of the breakdowns will be doing two Big Ten teams, and we'll get that formula all the way to the very end, the grand finale, which will be Ohio State, Michigan with their standalone episodes. And saving the best for last. So, welcome, and thank you again for all the support. We have now eclipsed 50 episodes. If you want to check out that special edition, you can. I brought on my buddies Corey and Jeff to shoot the breeze and kind of sit back, crack a cold one, and just talk about a little bit of everything, goofy stuff, our fantasy football league and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. This week, we already knocked out 2 episodes. So if you're listening to this, technically, it's at the end of the week here when I post it. And then following next week, we'll move on to our next 2 preview teams. All the social media that's related to this show is in the description box below. So if you are a new watcher or listener, we're free and available everywhere and up on YouTube. So go over, click on YouTube, and we'll have some videos or some podcast episodes in the videos section. And now it's part of the RSS feed now, so they'll be back into the podcast tab. So you can go ahead and check that out. So let's get right into it. It's just strictly Purdue Boilermakers and UCLA Bruins here on this episode. So, Purdue Boilermakers. 2023 went 4-8, 3-6 in the conference. Ryan Walters, second season as head coach. Defense allowed 30 points per game last season. Went 4-3 in games Hudson Card completed 60% of his passes and 0-5 when he didn't. They added over 14 transfers with a handful from the state of Georgia, Georgia Bulldogs, that is. They have some promising players kind of sprinkled in throughout their position groups, kind of like how it was last year, to be honest. Dylan Theinman and Kydra Jenkins could be stars. Theinman last year had 6 interceptions, and Jenkins was kind of their sack guy. Key losses. Wide receiver Deion Burks, who led the team with 629 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's going to Oklahoma. Safety Sanusi Kane was a 7th-round pick to the Baltimore Ravens. And if you watch the Michigan Purdue game last year, they called Sanusi Kane's name quite often. Dude's a ball hawk. And I think the Baltimore Ravens kind of got lucky there in the 7th round and snuck a good one. Linebacker Nick Skorton transferred to Texas A&M. He compiled 10 sacks last season alone, so it's kind of a big hit there. Key additions: edge Shatah Salah from Boston College. Shatah Salah, that name I believe was part of I think many funny names all team last year. I think Barstool did something like that, and no offense to the young man, whatever, but it's an odd name. It's a funny name, Shatah Salah. He was at Boston College Golden Eagle. Now he's going to be a Purdue Boilermaker. Going into his 6th season of eligibility, he's gotten 12 sacks in the 5 he's played. Only playing 9 games the past 2 seasons, so he's kind of been banged up, missing some time. So hopefully he's healthy and ready to go for them. Running back Reggie Love III from Illinois. Now this is kind of a big get. Now he led the Illini last season with 116 carries, 567 yards, and 4 tutties. Kind of taking over the that Devin Dylan Maccabee role. Former 4-star edge coming in from Georgia, C.J. Madden. Defensive back Nyland Green, also from Georgia. Defensive back Kindrich Breedlove from Colorado. Offensive lineman Corey Stewart and DJ Wingfield. Stewart's coming in from Ball State and Wingfield coming in from New Mexico. So again, if you're new to listening to this too, again, how we do this is like we're right now, off-season kind of headlines and stuff, and then we do key losses, key additions, and then right now we are about to go into their schedule. Also, really quick, really outside of Corey Stewart and the mentioned additions, they're going to be asked to step up in meaningful ways. So Purdue bringing in 14 transfers, they lost a lot. They're gonna a lot of those guys mentioned, like they have um, a lot of anything but experience. So they better be ready. All right, 2024 schedule time. Let's get you guys spun around. I'll take me off the screen. And so there we go. We'll go through the schedule together. And as you can see, the Purdue Boilermakers start out Indiana State. Now, before we actually get into this, their over-under win total via FanDuel is 4.5 wins. Okay, so let's see if they get to 5 or maybe they get to 4. Indiana State, that's going to be a W at home. Then they host Eddie I was about to say my buddy's name, who's calling me right now. They host Notre Dame. That's going to be an L. Then they travel to Corvallis. They go to Oregon State on a primetime game, 8:30 p.m. This is on the CW. Interesting. This is going to be a W. Now, looking at this game in June is wild, right? Last year we started the preview and stuff like that, I think week and a half into July, but we got 18 teams now. But OSU, they're rebooting and they got a new head coach, their former defensive coordinator. DJ Ukulele, the quarterback, is gone. Backup quarterback Aiden Childs is gone. Some serviceable defensive pieces are still around, but no quarterback, and Damian Martinez, the star running back, is gone for Miami. So I'm siding with Purdue on this upset here because of the continuity on their sideline. A lot of the formula here I did last year, I'm going to do this year. A lot of the formula I use to kind of give my thoughts and opinions on this stuff is continuity, your signal caller quarterback. It's the most important position in the sport. And obviously what your schedule shows. So here, I'm siding with Purdue because of that. Continuity and their quarterback situation, even though this is technically, it is on the road. I'm just going Purdue here. They come home then for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. That game is on at noon. Not yet to be put on a network. I'm giving the slight edge to the W here. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. It's going to be intriguing to see how Nebraska is this year. The last 3 years, whether it was Scott Frost or Matt Rule, they're in a lot of games. And their issues last year were turnovers, and turnovers mostly coming from the quarterback situation. They played 3 of them, and was it Heinrich Harburg? He really kind of stabilized things at times. Jeff Sims, when they went into Boulder, when they played Colorado, it's just Jeff Sims is either running for a touchdown or a 20-yard gain, or he's fumbling the football. So Nebraska got to figure that out. They have a lot of question marks. So we'll get into Nebraska soon in the previews, but I'm siding with Purdue here at home, and whatever happens, the Huskers are going to be putting out Dylan Raiola out there. He's going to be a freshman, and Ryan Walters. I praise all the time for being a defensive minded guy. I think they're going to cook something up, and We'll see what happens, but I'm going to trust the defense with Ryan. And I know they gave up 30 points last year, but I feel like Purdue, like there's something skewed there. I could be wrong. I could be seeing things completely wrong. But when I watch the games, especially that Michigan Purdue game last year, I even said it in the post game. The score shows something different. When you watch that, there's just something about it that Ryan Walter, he's just got his guys um, playing like a 70% of the game. They need to play a full game of solid defense, but they just show flashes, is what I'm saying. Okay? I took enough time up there, right? All right, so now we have a 2-game road stretch here at Wisconsin, at Illinois. They're both taking L's. It's hard to win in Camp Randall at Illinois. I just don't trust Hudson Card. If this wasn't a road game regarding the Illinois one, I might stay. I might sway to a W. You know, both teams are close in terms of tier or level, but I like the Illinois quarterback situation better. I would take Luke Altmaier over Hudson Card any day of the week. They then come back home for Oregon. That's an L. They have Northwestern to follow. That I will give a W. I underestimated Northwestern last year. After the whole Pat Fitzgerald debacle, I said 2 wins. I think their over under was at 3.5, and I think they won 7 games. Um, I like the Wildcats offense, not their defense, and I like Purdue's defense, not their offense. So Purdue close. They go to at Ohio State and Columbus. Purdue's not winning that. Purdue's not winning that. I don't think they've won in Columbus since like 1988, so it's been quite some time. They then come home for Penn State. That's a loss. They then travel for the last 2 games of the season. They got shafted on their schedule this year. Purdue got shafted. They have Michigan State and Indiana, both taking L's there as well. Or actually, I take that back. They win they win in Bloomington. I just don't see Indiana having their ducks in a row just yet with their new regime. So I got Purdue actually covering their over win total at 5-7 and 3-6 in the conference. So their wins: Indiana State, Oregon State, Nebraska, Northwestern, and Indiana. I know if I was talking to Joel Klatt right now, he'd be going like, "What is wrong with you?" Because I know he is kind of intrigued and on the up and up with the Huskers right now, with all that they bring. But I'm just not buying it right now, fully. So yes, 5-7 for the Purdue Boilermakers, and there you have it. We're about to move into UCLA, but that's how we do it. That's how we roll. So Purdue Boilermakers, UCLA coming up after the break, and then we'll peace out of here, and I'll see you on the next one. But for now, here's some tunes. When our community wins with us, we want to ensure you've maximized your ROI. Line shopping for the best odds matters, and that is why any profitable sports bettor needs to be using multiple sports books. Thankfully, there's never been a better time to get signed up. And we are here to connect you with the best promotions industry-wide. Using our link, signupexpert.com/southeast, you can get access to all of the sportsbooks in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique features. Most importantly, this page automatically connects you to the top promotions at each book, allowing you to start line shopping with an enhanced bankroll. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support our brand, please consider signing up for your next sportsbook at signupexpert.com/southeast. Okay, we're back for the second half of this episode. We have the UCLA Bruins on deck. Let's do it. UCLA coming in from the Pac-12. 2023, they went 8-5, 4-5 in their conference. New first-time head coach Deshaun Foster replacing Chip Kelly. So if you don't recognize Deshaun Foster, played running back in the NFL. Was the running backs assistant coach here, pretty much since he was left the pros. If you don't remember, he was on the Carolina Panthers for I think most of his time, if not his entire career. Eric Bieniemy hired as an offensive coordinator. Kind of a sneaky move here. Eric Bieniemy honestly probably should be head coach somewhere in the NFL, and he kind of decided to go to the collegiate route. Who knows? Maybe he can make something of Ethan Garbers, and so this could be a really sneaky good play. The Bruins led the Pac-12 in rushing the past 2 years. So, I'm sure they want to be more balanced, maybe, and at least that being able to run the football, they have an identity now. But with Eric Bieniemy coming in here, we'll see how let's see if we recognize any plays from the Kansas City Chiefs days, right? Defense is going to be a question mark, and we'll get to that in the key losses here. Linebacker Laiatu Laitu, 15th overall pick to the Indianapolis Colts. Edge Gabriel Murphy, UDFA to the Minnesota Vikings. Quarterback Dante Moore, former 5-star out of high school, he transferred to Oregon. So willing to take a step back and sit behind Dylan Gabriel for a year. And defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn leaves UCLA for USC. Bruins went from the 92nd scoring defense in 2022 to 14th in 2023. So pretty big leap there. And to me, that's a big loss. I don't know if that's a flash in the pan or what, but the USC Trojans are finally taking defense seriously. Lincoln Riley is at least. And so, maybe they could have used that instead of relying on Caleb Williams to throw 6 touchdown passes each week to win by 3 points. Key additions for the Bruins. Edge Collins Achiampong from Miami. Former 4-star recruit. Collins was actually a Michigan lean before he pledged to the Hurricanes. And now he's over here for the Bruins. This was about the time where Michigan also lost when Achiampong committed to Miami. About the same time when Michigan lost Justin Scott to Ohio State. Michigan was kind of in line for Justin Scott. Yeah, he was a 5-star defensive tackle. Went Buckeye anyways. Praised Ohio State's defensive line coach, and then decommitted from them shortly after. Went to Miami. So this was about the stretch last year where Michigan was getting sniped by the Hurricanes, and the Hurricanes, they like to delve out the NIL, send the money bags, and essentially win 7 games a year and, lose to Georgia Tech with less than 1 minute to go and fumble the ball instead of kneeling the ball and draining the clock. But here we are. Safety Ramon Henderson coming in from Notre Dame. He's bringing an experience. I think this is going to be his 5th year. Defensive backs Brian Addison from Oregon going into his 7th season, and KJ Wallace from Georgia Tech going into his 6th season. So going to have a lot of maybe not necessarily game experience, but long time college vets, if you will. Let's get into their 2024 schedule. Their over-under win total for 2024 via FanDuel is 5.5. So I got Purdue on the over at 5 because they were 4.5. And Purdue is 5.5. Let's look at it, shall we? Let me take me off the screen there so you can see the schedule. So if you're watching, you can see it, of course. So they are actually traveling to Hawaii for a CBS TV spot at 4:30 at Clarence T.C. Ching Complex in Honolulu. That's a dub. So they're 1-0. Then they go to the Rose Bowl back home. to host Indiana. So they are getting a Big Ten contest week 2, and I think they're going to take down the Hoosiers there. Next, they travel at LSU. They go to Death Valley. That's now no Jane Daniels, but we're talking about Death Valley here, a road game in Louisiana. That's a difficult place to play, and they're going to be losing to screaming purple-faced Brian Kelly there. Then they come back home for Oregon. Sorry, that's just going to be another L. Their true first Big Ten test is at Penn State. They go to Happy Valley. That that game does not have a time yet. We'll see. We'll see if that's a whiteout, stripe out helmet or helmet stripe out, excuse me, or just a regular stripe out. Either way, they're taking a road at Penn State. Then they come back home to host the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Not really super confident in this prediction, but I'm giving the Bruins a W here. They then have a 2 game road stretch at Piscataway and at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. Both L's. Both L's. Rutgers, by the way, Rutgers is recruiting very well right now for 2025. I say very well. I mean, they're recruiting well beyond their means. A lot of it has to do with the sheer quantity of commits they have. They have like over 23 commits right now. A lot of schools don't. So that's kind of a little bloated. So they'll probably fall back at the end of the day. But, you know, Shiano's there, and he's, kind of fist deep right now in his second tenure here. I just think Rutgers can outdo them, and this is going to be an interesting watch this first year, especially with the Big Ten absorbing these 4 Pac-12 teams on the West Coast. We see it in the NFL. Uh, East Coast and Midwest teams have an easier time traveling west to play games, and West Coast teams have a more of a difficult time traveling east to play a little bit earlier than what they're used to. So we'll see how this translates into the collegiate level. I would say probably could fare out the same way. You'd probably see some teams maybe come out flat, a little lethargic, and UCLA here, they have to travel back to, excuse me, well, they were at Penn State, right? Then they fly all the way back from Minnesota, and then they fly all the way back to the East Coast. This is could be a grueling part of their schedule, so it's gonna be intriguing. It really is. Um, so 2 L's on the road. Then they come home for Iowa. Now, this one is getting. See, I don't know. I'm on UCLA's website, so I don't know if the 6 p.m. time is actually like 6 p.m. Eastern, if it's picking up my geolocation, or if this is 6 p.m. West Coast time. I have a feeling this is West Coast time because this game is probably gonna be on at 10 o'clock at night ET. Either way, I got Iowa here. They might have to collect 4 safeties and an onside kick and punt 3 times or 30 times to win. But I'm going to be rooting for Cade McNamara. So there's a sliver of bias here. I just think the Hawkeyes are going to have a better team overall, and they have a lot of strength in that defense. I guess I'm unsure about Ethan Garber, so I'm going Iowa. Then they go at Washington. They go to Husky Stadium here. This was another 6 p.m. Fox start. L. Take another L. So we are at 4 L's in a row, and we're going to make it 5. We're going to make it 5. I do not see them beating USC either. And that's, I guess, kind of assuming maybe Deontay Lynn can put some magic together for the Trojans like he did with UCLA. So since 2019, this matchup has been kind of hovering around the 90 points in total, mark. That it's been kind of a barn burner with 2 new quarterbacks though, and rebooting their own defenses. I don't think we're going to exceed 90 points in total. I don't think it's going to be, maybe a defensive battle. So I think the winner of that game is going to be who has their defense set up for success the quickest. And so I think that's going to be USC. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 L's in a row. And then we have Fresno State. Okay. This Fresno State game is going to be an interesting one because Fresno State is getting a lot of love as a dark horse, and they have a lot of offensive experience coming back. So their defense is quite honestly ass. Um, but this might be a last possession type game. Maybe. If UCLA puts a balanced team out there and they're able to run the rock, maybe they can play keep away. But they should be able to put the Bulldogs late, put them away late. But I wouldn't be surprised if this could be ugly early, or I'll say ugly but close early. Um, so right here, my final prediction here for the UCLA Bruins is 4-8 and 2-7 in the Big Ten. So to recap, their wins: Hawaii, Indiana, Minnesota, and then Fresno State. Just man, they got the brutal part of their introduction to Big Ten football. Um, at Penn State, then they have uh, 2 road games there on the East Coast. I just don't see it. And say Big Ten play too. I guess you call Oregon that, but the traditional Big Ten teams they got short end of the stick. Now they don't have Ohio State or Michigan, so that boat that's a positive. But yeah, we'll see. So that is your episode for today. Purdue and UCLA. We will be back later. Let's say later. We'll be back next week for our next 2 teams. I'm not sure what they are yet. I guess I'll kind of leave that intrigue to fester there. But if you are again new to the show, please wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe, hit us up. Um, Socials will be in the description box below. And again, we're up on YouTube. So if you'd like to watch, like to keep an eye on what I'm talking about via graphic wise on the screen, yeah, head there, click the bell to get all the info. And again, I'm going to be running some giveaways here coming soon, and it's going to be up to some participation. So we'll see what happens, and be excited to give out some goodies. Anyways, go blue. I'll see you guys next time to talk the next 2 Big Ten teams.